Okay, so I'm reading the cliff notes of Grapes of Wrath. Now I've gotten through the first chapter. And the summary is: in the red and gray country of Oklahoma, the last of the rain came in early May. Even that was only enough to cause small droplets to appear. Then the weeds began to turn color to guard against the onslaught of the sun. The corn began to fade and dry up. When June was half gone, a few drops of rain fell, but it only made the dust on the corn seem freckled. Soon it became necessary to tie handkerchiefs over one's nose for protection against the dust. At night the dust failed to settle, so that the stars could not pierce the dust. Little lines of dust crept into the houses even though they were all padded. The men just stood and looked at the ruined corn. The women would come out and look at the men to see if they would break. The women and children knew deep in themselves that no misfortune was too great to bear if their men were whole. Commentary. The first chapter, short as it is, presents the essential background situation which will cause the great migration towards California. Here we see the land being turned into a dust bowl, the crops being ruined, and the men idle. Chapters of great importance will be interspersed throughout the novel. Generally, Steinbeck will have a chapter of narration followed by a chapter of indirect comment or a general situation which suggests something about the personal tragedy of the main characters. These inserted chapters are called intercalary chapters. The idleness of the men, suggested at the end of the chapter, and the way in which the women watch their men will be one of the central motifs throughout the novel. The women can keep going as long as their men don't give up. Thus later, Ma Jode will intentionally goad her husband in order to test him, in order to see if he has given up. Chapter 2, Summary. A man walking along the highway crossed over to a roadside cafe where a huge transport truck was parked. He noticed the "No Rider" sign on the truck, but he sat down on the running board and waited anyway. He was dressed in a cheap suit of clothes and new shoes. While waiting, he unlaced his new shoes. Inside the restaurant, he could hear music blaring from a machine. Soon the truck driver came out, and the man asked him for a ride. The driver pointed to the "No Rider" sign, but the man said that some drivers will be a good guy even if some rich bastard makes him carry a sticker. The driver thought a minute and told the man to hide until they came around the corner and then he could climb in. When they were down the road, the driver started talking at random about a number of things. He began to ask the man all kinds of questions. When the man tells him that he was returning to his old man's 40-acre place, the driver is surprised that someone with only 40 acres still has the place which hasn't been taken over by a cat. The man explains that he has been away for 4 years and then gets rather angry at all the questioning and tells the driver his name is Tom Jode. The driver tries to explain that he gets lonesome driving all day and didn't mean any offense by the questions, but he just feels the need to talk. He talks some more and tells how he is planning on studying fingerprints. Then Tom accuses the driver of trying to snoop into everyone's business, and Tom confesses that he has been to McAllister, the state prison, for 4 years. He was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced for 7 years, but he got out early for good behavior. By this time, Tom is at the road leading to the farm. Commentary. While there are many symbolic passages and events in the novel, the central emphasis is on plot and the development of the central situation. It will be through a dramatic telling of the struggles of the Jode family that the central meaning of the novel will be revealed. Therefore, the plot summary and the situation developing in the storyline carry the burden of the meaning of this great novel. This chapter begins to set up certain elements of the central story. Tom, who has been in prison, will become a mainstay of the family, but because of his record, he will also become somewhat of a burden. That is, he will not be free to act as he would like. One of the central motives is suggested by the signs on the truck. The "No Riders" sign implies for Tom that the rich bastards are the opposite of the good guy, that the rich are out to destroy the poor. This begins to set the tone for the episodes with the landowners both in California and now in Oklahoma. The driver's surprise that Tom's family still has a farm presents in advance the essential predicament. Actually, Tom's family has already been shoved out by one of the big cats. and in parentheses says machines which were used in farming that were big enough to knock down one of the small houses found on the tenant road farms. The episode with the truck driver is often carried over into the bulk of the novel. As the Jodes travel along, they will often run into scenes involving truck drivers and stopover restaurants. Ma Jode says at the end, when a poor person wants something, he had best go for to help to one of his own kind. Thus it was that Tom was even able to get a ride with the truck driver in the first place. Chapter 3 is a summary. The concrete highway lay amid a mat of dried grass. A few grasshoppers were to be seen. A land turtle approached the highway and slowly and laboriously climbed the embankment. After many frantic efforts, he finally reached the top and slowly begins the long and arduous crossing. A car driven by a 40-year-old woman passed by. She swerved to miss the turtle. A few minutes later, a light truck came down the road by a young man. He swerved to hit it. He clipped the edge of the shell and flipped the turtle off the highway. It landed on its back and had to struggle for some time before it could turn itself back over. Then it slowly proceeded on its way. Commentary. Often in Steinbeck's writing, there is an implication that man is a victim of a hostile universe, that he has little or no control over his destiny. Thus, the presentation of the slow-moving turtle trying to fulfill his destination and being hindered by ants, hills, oat seeds under his shell, and finally by the dangerous traffic offers a rather bitter analogy to the predicament of man. And throughout the novel, the Jode family meets with such hardships, but as the turtle refused to be swayed from his purpose, so the Jodes will continue to struggle with great fortitude. Passages such as these attest to Steinbeck's greatness as a realistic and symbolic writer. Steinbeck bases his presentation on a highly realistic rendition of facts. The description of the turtle is accurate in the finest degree, yet in the very realm of the description we have suggested the realistic view of this hostile world.